Well, you voted, and I listened. This cannot be undone. Nimona is here to celebrate my achievement of 5K plus subscribers. Thank you for your support. Blue Sky Studios. You know them, you love them. It's the studio behind the Ice Age 5ology? Pentology? Why didn't I just write series? Anyways, I've always been a fan of Blue Sky Studios. Don't tell anyone, but young Carrie watched the original Ice Age in theaters like 7 times. I mean, they made robots and spies in disguise. Not to mention, being one of the earlier major computer animation studios to experiment with stylization via the Peanuts movie. Now, sadly, Blue Sky Studios is no longer with us. Disney shut it down in April 2021 after the Fox acquisition, and the studio unfortunately did not get a grand theatrical finale, ending its run with a message in the final episode of the Disney Plus series Scrap Tales, as well as a mysterious YouTube video titled The End, where we finally get to see Scrat eat the nut. That is until... In 2022, Annapurna Pictures teamed up with Netflix to revive one of Blue Sky Studios' cancelled projects, Nimona, a movie based on the graphic novel Nimona by N.D. Stevenson, the creator of She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. I first read Nimona in high school because I followed Nate's Tumblr for his Avengers fan art. Needless to say, it became one of my favorite books of all time and got me into graphic novels / American comics in general. My old book is hidden somewhere, but here's my old Nimona pin and charm from way back when. But yeah, my reaction about the film's revival is exciting to say the least. Anyways, the movie was fairly close to completion by the time Disney canceled the project, and thanks to DNEG Animation, the film was released on Netflix June 2023. It ain't, I fear. Nimona is a spunky fantasy sci-fi movie with fun visuals, great characters, and a natural charm that really gets you into its story and messages. If I have to describe the movie with one word, it would be quirky, affectionate. But what makes this underdog movie stand out? Make some breakfast tacos as we take a look at Nimona. We open the movie with the legend of Glorith, a warrior who trained an elite force of knights after saving her people from a vile monster. It is said that their descendants would continue to protect their kingdom generation after generation. The story ends with a warning that the monsters are still out there and you should never let your guard down. Cut to 1,000 years later, and we find ourselves at a controversial night-to-night nights. Geez, say that 5 times fast. Night-to-night nights, night-to-night nights, night-to-night nights, night-to-night nights, night-to-night nights. Because it's the knighting ceremony of Ballister Boldheart, the first knight without noble blood. While many citizens continue to be skeptical and unenthusiastic about his status as a commoner, we find Ballister, voiced by Riz Ahmed, hiding away anxiously with his loving boyfriend Ambrosius Goldenloin, voiced by Eugene Yang, and the two share a soft, intimate moment with each other before the ceremony.
No one hates a hero of the realm. They're gonna love you. Like I do.
After getting teased in the locker room by my least favorite character, Todd, Ballister took notice of his sword. But before Diego the Squire could say anything, everyone gathered around the director. Yup, the director. That's literally her name. Do you think she's friends with the captain?
Ballister, today the kingdom will see you for who you really are.
I'm gonna tell him.
Don't you dare.
I just want to take a moment to appreciate the fact that the queen is modeled after Meredith from the original graphic novel. Thank you for your time. But anyways, the queen proudly knights Ballister, hoping his underdog story will inspire a new generation of knights, and the crowd cheers him on despite their initial hesitations. However, the ceremony was cut short cut when Ballister's sword transforms and kills the queen. As a reflex, Ambrosius disarms Bao, literally, and the two share a moment of betrayal before Bao's escape. We then cut to a girl in the rain spraying rebellious graffiti on Glorith posters before getting enticed by the new wanted signs of Bao.
He's got no place in this kingdom.
He's a murderer.
He's a monster.
He's perfect.
After a cool title drop, we see Bao tinkering away at his new mechanical arm when he hears a mysterious knock on the door. I really enjoy small character moments like this because Bao never hesitates when headed towards the door and catches a vase without looking, proving him to be a top-tier knight despite current circumstances. And it's here we meet Nimona, voiced by Chloe Grace Moretz, a spunky, pink-haired teen with a thirst for violence.
Okay, how old do you think I am?
I don't know, 10? All right, help me out. More or less than 10.
Nimona's here to become Bao's newest villain sidekick, to get revenge on those who hurt him and overthrow the government. However, Bao tells her that A, he's not a murderous villain, to Nimona's disappointment, and B, he plans on reconciling with Ambrosius because he's actually innocent. The plan immediately fails when Bao gets arrested by the Institute, and the director refuses to let him talk to Ambrosius.
She thought someone like you could be a hero, and it cost her her life.
I love that on rewatch you can already see Nimona's shape-shifting abilities before the reveal. So Nimona comes to bail Bao out because she was right on no one believing in him, and the two set off on their escape.
If you see anyone,
Murder him.
hide! If you see anyone, hide!
This early phase of Nimona and Bao's dynamic is so entertaining to watch. He's this stressed out guy who's already in a lot of trouble, and Nimona just screams chaos. It's fun watching him trying to keep everything from escalating by sneaking around, and failing miserably of course, as Nimona follows him while destroying everything with ease.
Why don't we just go around doing it your way? Yeah? Murder him, murder her, murder everyone!
Bao?
Ambrosius.
Gesundheit.
While Bao is distraught by Ambrosius and the duo is cornered, Nimona makes him promise not to freak out. Sorry, it's...
I promise, I will not freak!
And reveals that she is a shapeshifter. We then get this high-energy chase sequence as the two escape the Institute and its knights.
Golden ear?
It's really cool to see the animal forms keep Nimona's rounder shape language and colors. I love when transformations do that. As much as I love this sequence, I do think that the Institute set piece is pretty bland, in terms of its backgrounds. Between the matte gray walls and the glossy blue floors, the lack of texture variety with the harsh light combo makes the scene look just a tad unfinished. I get that it's an office space and the Institute has a very sanitized aesthetic, but I think some paint textures would really benefit the overall feel of the scene. That being said, the rest of the sequence is beautiful. I love how fluid Nimona's animation looks, transforming in and out of different animals with a trail of magic sparkles behind her. The camera work here is also
smooth like butter,
navigating through its environments with ease while not being too disorienting for its viewers. Plus, seeing Bao trying his best to guide Nimona but at the same time freaking the fuck out is hilarious. And yeah, that rug burn definitely killed him. Anyways, Bao wakes up in his lair to find Nimona making breakfast tacos, and I guess he blacked out during the escape because he barely remembered how they got out. That is until he saw the new and improved murder wall and remembered everything. Slowly realizing that Nimona's not human and likely to be the monster he's sworn to destroy, Bao asks her what she is,
I'm Nimona.
No, that's not an answer.
and more importantly, why she's helping him. To which she replies,
Because I'm bored. And everybody hates you too.
while Bao processes everything, he comes to the conclusion that finding Diego is his best bet, given he's the one who gave him the sword, aka the weapon of
murder.
Nimona offers to help.
Get him. Let's go get him.
Bao accepts her offer and the two shake on it, man to shark. Meanwhile, at the Institute, the director launches a hunt for the new villains with the descendant of Glorith, Ambrosius, as the lead. Chat, is that allowed?
Can't stop me
While heading towards the market to find Diego, Bao asks Nimona to tone down her shapeshifting and to not cause excessive violence, which continues to annoy her.
It's too much.
Ugh, unclench your mustache.
We then watch Nimona lure all the knights away as an imposter Ballister. And the distraction proves to be successful until Ambrosius watches the tape.
Something doesn't feel right. He hates freestyle jazz.
One of my favorite parts about the movie's portrayal of Goldenheart as a couple is that their relationship is actually an integral part of the story. For a major animation studio film, I'm still in awe of how explicitly Nimona portrays Bao and Ambrosius' romantic relationship. Explicitly, like the Google definition of in a clear and detailed manner, leaving no room for confusion or doubt. Like, the movie lets you know with every chance it gets that Ambrosius and Bao are a couple in love. And I don't mean it metaphorically or rhetorically or poetically or theoretically or in any other fancy way. They're gay. Straight up. I love how frequent queer characters and relationships are portrayed in mainstream animated shows, but when it comes to mainstream animated movies, it's still a lot of keep it between removable lines and shots, unfortunately. Queer characters and relationships in animated films tend to be hidden in plain sight. Even in a film such as Strange World, where one of our main characters is gay, his relationship isn't really a part of the story. While it's awesome that his personality isn't defined by his orientation, and that his crush is normalized and portrayed with complete support from everyone,
It's cool. I see why you like
Please
it.
stop talking.
I remember my first crush.
Why are you still
She had
talking? Please
braces.
stop talking.
I did too.
Stop.
And then one
Please.
time,
it's still not as explicit as I'd like it to be. I just want a good romance on screen. Like, is that too much to ask, Disney? Can Luca and Alberto kiss for real now? Where was I going with this? I had a point. Strange World and Lightyear walked so Nimona can kick the door down running, basically. And look, I'm all in for a nice will they won't they, lingering gazes, small O in italics, oh my gosh their hands touched, maybe some deep angst in the middle, 30k plus word count slow burn at 3 in the morning. But huge props to Nimona for having the two characters already in love at the beginning, throwing us into this childhood friends to lovers to enemies to lovers B-plot, and actually showing us how emotionally affected they are by each other's actions. The Knights would have bought Nimona's distraction if it weren't for Ambrosius's input, and while it's such a small detail in the story, it's so effective and really makes the movie stand out. Back to the movie, Nimona and Bao are well on their way to the market, and we see Bao once again trying to convince Nimona to tone down her shapeshifting, to her dismay.
I just think it'd be easier if you were a girl.
Easier to be a girl.
I really like the way the dialogue was written here. We understand that Bao is currently trying to be as low-key as possible, being a fugitive and all. And of course, Nimona's shapeshift is loud. Dare I say flamboyant? It's an inherent otherness that immediately separates her from everyone. But we also know that Bao is inherently different from everyone at the Institute. He's gay. He's poor. While both of them can be considered as outcasts, Bao has assimilated into the kingdom's culture. And what's wonderful about this dialogue is that it's a fairly universal situation. We all want to fit in, and we want others to feel like they belong as well. But despite our intentions, prejudice is something no one can avoid growing up, and it's something even those who claim to be more accepting can still have. It's also a nice detail that the first word Bao uses is girl instead of normal or human, because girl insinuates someone young, innocent, incapable of causing tremendous harm.
I'm gonna tell him.
Don't you dare.
In an attempt to understand Nimona's abilities, Bao asks how she came to be, and it's here we get Nimona's backstory, told in an engaging subway mosaic wall sequence, where we see Nimona make a wish in front of a wishing well with a magical coin. It really gives the seemingly modern tale a more timeless fairy tale vibe, if only the story was real. Yeah, Bao dunked on. Expectations subverted. Pizza crust moment? Cute.
Hotel? Trivago.
Want me to shift? You don't want me to shift? Pick a lane!
And now you're a boy.
I am today.
Oh hey, it's Gregor. After avoiding Ambrosius's greeting at the station, we get a high-energy chase sequence as Gregor gracefully kidnaps Diego, Bao hijacks a flying car, Ambrosius struggles with his feelings, and this lady screams in my face for some reason. Aside from that final moment, I actually find this sequence to be pretty funny, mainly because it managed to be super chaotic while keeping everyone true to their characters. I like how Ambrosius struggles a little in crowds, and that Diego's first instinct to a boy needing help is to push it onto someone else. But my favorite has to be Bao saying I'm innocent with an angry expression while stealing a car. The music here, being a modern rendition of Flight of the Bumblebee, also gives the sequence a fast pace without the characters having to flail around, resulting in a jangling key situation for the audience. It's just an overall fun little sequence that didn't overstay its welcome. And hell yeah, Blue Sky never dies. I think we can tell by now how unique Nimona's world building is. Knights still fight with swords and shoot arrows, but you have hologram posters, social media, and people drive smart flying cars. I don't know about you, but the first film that reminds me of this type of sci-fi / traditional blend of aesthetics is none other than one of my favorite movies, Treasure Planet. During its production, Treasure Planet operated under a special 70-30 law, where the film's aesthetics are 70% traditional and 30% sci-fi. You can see it in the film superficially, such as with the RLS Legacy operating like a traditional galleon but with solar sails, thrusters, and funky looking cannons. Or in the technical aspects, where most of the characters are animated traditionally, but the environment is made with deep canvas technology. And characters such as John Silver and Ben have CGI elements to them, if not made with entirely. It really gives this film a beautiful aesthetic that stands out from other 2D and 3D animated films. Nimona's aesthetics operate in a similar fashion. If you look at the book, The Art of Nimona, the design language has a 70-25 rule, where 75% of the film's visual language is modern contemporary, and 25% is medieval traditional naturalism. It's basically a flip from Treasure Planet because the sci-fi elements are more prominent, and it resulted in a contemporary film that still has a timeless feel to it. When talking about the visuals in the article, how N.D. Stevenson created the healing punk rock tale of Netflix's Nimona, character art director Aiden Sugano says, "It's classic princess fairy tale versus futuristic dystopia. It's truth versus expectation, light versus dark. We really wanted to make sure that the closer you got to something, the more you saw and you understood of that thing." I think this rule also elevated the original's aesthetic, because the original just felt like a traditional fantasy setting, but the characters can also watch TV, do FaceTime, and have the occasional laser cannon. It makes the book an interesting read, but I think the movie's take gives the world a more unique identity that can grab its viewers immediately. Anyways, before the duo gets to their Squire shakedown, Bao finds an arrow in Nimona's leg and goes full girl dad on her.
You really need to sit down.
No, it's fine. No, it's totally
look at you. You're not
it's
fine.
a
You're
splinter.
bleeding.
It'll work itself out.
Just sit.
I just love how soft Bao is. Just everything about him. I mean, look at his big brown eyes. Honestly, I love how similar they are to Riz Ahmed's eyes in real life. First Chris Pine's Magnifico and now Riz Ahmed's Ballister. I'm eating good tonight, guys. After a not so big reaction from Nimona with the arrow.
2, 3. Okay, most people scream at that part.
I'm not a people.
I mean, honestly, what reaction was he expecting? Shrek's? Val made a more genuine attempt in understanding Nimona.
Sorry, small-minded question. Hold still.
Mainly how her relationship with her abilities feels, and why she refuses to hold it back. And this has to be one of my favorite scenes from the movie. It's obviously a softer and more real moment compared to earlier, thanks to the less fantastical version of Nimona's theme. I really appreciate the film's original soundtrack by Christoph Beck. The orchestral score here not only grounds the film from becoming too modern, but it also reins in on the film's more zany, humorous side when things need to get emotional. I mean, the guy knows how to balance a modern fairy tale. He did score for Frozen after all. Still can't forgive him for using his Paperman score as a love theme in Free Guy, but that's a whole other thing. We also get to see the characters' true feelings here, thanks to their actors' great performances. Val is starting to look past Nimona's abilities and instead tries to understand her as a whole. And Nimona's desire to be free comes from a place that yearns for acceptance and love. It really brings home the message that even though shapeshifting is a natural and integral part of her, it's not the only thing there is to know about her.
What if you held it in? If you didn't shapeshift?
I'd die.
Good Lord, that's horrible.
Don't be so gullible. I wouldn't die. I just sure wouldn't be living.
I also really can't praise the dialogue enough, especially in this scene and the following interrogation. Every line goes straight to the point, but not in an exposition dump type of way. It's snappy with a natural rhythm to it, and really gives its characters their charms and personality.
Start talking.
He wants blood.
Blood?
Your blood.
I don't want blood.
Buckets of blood.
What I want is answers, so start
Or
talking.
we start stabbing.
No stabbing.
I really miss when animated films have this type of banter in them, cause that's how you know it's gonna be a classic. None of that homogenous, everyone is equally quirky lines here.
Who knew my voice would be this low?
On top of that, I really appreciate when an animated movie doesn't dumb down its lines or messages. I find that the characters are more likable that way, and if anything, the movie only gets better when you get older. So what if young Carrie didn't get
Forget your jammies, Mrs. Packard?
I sleep in the nude.
You're gonna want a pair of these. She sleepwalks.
the first time? She'll come around to it, no worries. Back to the task at hand, Diego shows our duo a video of the director switching out Bao's sword before the knighting ceremony, proving Bao's innocence. And while Nimona wants to upload the video, Bao says otherwise.
The will of glory at the Institute, the wall? What's it all really for?
For protecting the realm.
Oh, you mean from villains like you? Or monsters? Like me?
Still having faith in the institution, Bao wants to prove the director as the sole problem and not the institute itself. So he convinces Nimona to show Ambrosius the video first.
Can't stop me
Meanwhile,
Ambrosius and the director are on their way back to the institution, where we get a little glimpse into Ambrosius' psyche at the moment.
Who chops off an arm? Because I was trained to? Arm chopping is not a love language!
I'm fine, Director.
To be honest, when I read the original, I wasn't really that attached to Ambrosius Golden Loin. I mean, I liked him when he was an asshole, and there was obviously more to his pompous facade, but he was pretty static until the latter half of the story, where he finally deals with his relationship with Bao. Plus, the arm conflict there felt more malicious than the film's angsty version. So, I don't think you were supposed to root for him until he recognized his jealousy and guilt towards Bao. That being said, I think the Ambrosius we got here is a lot better. Not just because he's more likable, but also because his arc spans across the entire film. When talking about him in the article, N.D. Stevenson on setting the animated shapeshifters' story in motion, Stevenson says, I think Goldenloin is the character who changed the most from the page to the movie, in a way that I feel really positive about. He has a lot more pathos and maturity, and Eugene just brings so much of that to the character. How often do you see the bombastic blonde hero and you're like, I'd buy his sports drink, I love this guy. That's how I feel about him. And yeah, that pretty much sums up my feelings about him as well. Ambrosius here is a lot sweeter, and I'm glad that a small joke like this can tell us so much of this character in such a short amount of time. It also builds up an emotional punch for the upcoming conflict. By the way, can we just admire the design of this carriage? I mean, look at those hover wheels. Oh my goodness, an ambush.
He's not a liar, says the miscreant, whispering in his ear.
Oh, thank you.
Lady, you're the one literally doing that though. Val tries to appeal to Ambrosius, but with the director sprinkling doubts, Todd breaking the phone, and everyone fearing towards the unknown that is Nimona.
Who is she, Belle? What is she?
He fails. So the two opt for Plan B.
Let's break stuff.
Much like the previous escape sequence, I think the fight scene here is really fun to watch. Visually, the camera movements and animation are so fluid here, and character-wise, you can see how far Bao and Nimona have come based on their banter and how in sync they are during combat. But my favorite part has to be the moment between Bao and Ambrosius. I mean, where do I even begin? You can tell immediately from
What if it isn't the golden boy?
that Bao is really salty about Ambrosius' betrayal. Is it also a fun little nod to their graphic novel dynamic?
Maybe.
I'm usually really annoyed about the miscommunication trope because it's always an avoidable situation. Just don't walk away, early Shrek. It's not that hard. But here, the miscommunication is based on our characters' emotions. They're saying the things that needed to be said, but it's not getting through to the other person because of their emotional walls.
What? You're gonna kill me now, too?
If you believe that,
Then you never knew me at all.
Hey, who left this bowl of onions here?
The fight ends when Nimona saves a young girl from harm, and instead of a warm thank you, the girl decides to hold up a sword. For it's not a hero who saved her, but a monster. And we're taught to never let our guard down, especially towards monsters. I think this scene specifically is a very effective way of portraying the reactionary attitude towards people who are perceived as different. Val and Nimona manage to escape back to their hideout, where we finally get to see Nimona's vulnerable side.
Kids. Little kids. They grow up believing that they can be a hero if they drive a sword into the heart of anything different. And I'm the monster?
It's pretty obvious by now that Nimona's shapeshifting ability is heavily coded as her gender fluidity and transness. But don't just take my word for it. Just listen to N.D. Stevenson in this article for The Hollywood Reporter. I don't think that any of us expected the state of the world and current events to unfold exactly the way they have, Stevenson admits. I think that Nimona has always had this transness and gender fluidity at its heart, but there are lines that have new meaning now, even from the first time I heard them recorded. And with the way trans people are mistreated today, it's heartwarming that a mainstream animated film can provide some sort of levity and comfort for those who are dealing with bigotry and hate, to tell them that they are not alone. Distraught by the way the kingdom has treated them, Bao plans for them to leave together, and this is when Nimona realizes she's no longer alone for once. Bao's change of heart inspired Nimona to stay, and the two come up with a new plan to take down the director. Cut to Ambrosius busting into the director's office and confronting her about everything. Well, this should be good. Hearing the director's paranoia described as seeing a crack in a wall reminds me a lot of Abuela from Encanto and how they're two sides of the same coin. Both antagonists striving for perfection, but you feel sympathy for Abuela and nothing for the director. Oh, and Ambrosius is dead. No, wait. Okay, now he's dead. Just kidding. That's just Nimona performing while Bao recorded the entire confession in hiding.
Hey, you haven't returned any.
You are gay!
Not Ambrosius recognizing Bao's sword because the B was carved from a G because he was the one who gave Bao the sword because Bao couldn't afford one, like... Okay, but let me tell you, I was so excited during my first watch that they actually recreated the Monopoly scene. It's one of my favorite parts from the book.
I'm still taking the 600 gold.
What?
You didn't tell me you could breathe fire.
Oh.
Metal. Best 2 out of 3?
What gets me here is seeing Bao's character arc complete with him fully accepting Nimona. He doesn't see her as a monster, a shapeshifter, or even a sidekick. He just sees Nimona. And nothing she can do or say that would change his liking towards her. This man is a girl dad. With the director's confession going viral and the citizens rebelling, Nimona and Bao celebrate as their plan to expose the institution goes swimmingly. Get it? Swimmingly. It's a shark joke. After receiving a late-night invite, Bao decides to meet up with Ambrosius.
You were so full. Hey, can I get you guys something?
Nachos!
Please.
And hold the olives. He's allergic.
Who warns him about the true villain behind everything. Nimona? When Bao denies the accusation towards her, Ambrosius shows him an ancient scroll that shows Nimona as Glorith's monster. Where did the scroll come from, you ask? Well, earlier in the movie, the director recognized one of Nimona's forms and presented the scroll as proof of her innocence. So now knowing Nimona's true identity, the director used fear-mongering to instill doubt in order to take back control over the citizens, including Ambrosius. And now Ambrosius and Bao's relationship has come to a head.
Why won't you admit it?
Stop!
You're in danger,
Why
Bao.
can't you just leave me alone?
Because I love you.
Returning home, Bao confronts Nimona about everything.
I was helping you.
You were using me. You wanted them to see a villain, someone else to hate, so you wouldn't be alone.
And it's such a heartbreaking scene. Not just because it reminds me a lot about the Wild Hops breakup in Zootopia, but because the misunderstanding here is so nuanced. We finally get to see Bao unlearn everything from his time at the institution and truly accept Nimona. I mean, his eye shine literally went from the Institute's diamond to a square. He's come so far. But the fact is that his love for Ambrosius triumphs over everything and everyone else. And both Ambrosius and Bao believe that neither of them would actively hurt the other. So when Ambrosius tells Bao that he still loves him and they were both manipulated, it's hard for Bao to not trust him.
I'm a what?
You know what you are.
Bao unconsciously reaches for a sword, and Nimona leaves feeling betrayed. She runs through the forest and inevitably returns to the aforementioned wishing well. And it's here we get a flashback to what actually happened 1,000 years ago. The real story behind Nimona and Glorith. So it turns out that Glorith was Nimona's first friend. She accepted her wholeheartedly even when she learned about her shapeshifting. The two were inseparable and were actually quite alike. You can tell by the matching flame-shaped eye shines. Until one day they were caught playing together in the village. The villagers' hostile reaction towards Nimona made her out to be a monster who destroyed everything. And instead of sticking up for her, Glorith banished her.
Go back to the shadows from whence you came.
And we now see how manipulative the Institute really is. Because the story we were told, the legendary fight between Glorith and the evil monster, was in fact just the end of a friendship between children. I mean, the KFC breakup had more going on than this. The two didn't even fight. Nimona was heartbroken and left. There were no shining knights, no glorious battle, no heroic lineage. The story's warning was there so that the Institute could instill more fear and manipulate its people. Nimona's the only one who knows the truth, but the truth has been twisted for 1,000 years. And is it too late to believe in someone again? Overwhelmed by Ballister's rejection and Glorous betrayal, Nimona's rage burns her away, transforming her into a shadow monster that consumes all the light around her. Before we get to the ending, I think it's best to take a quick look at the graphic novel, specifically the ending, of course. Spoilers for the Nimona graphic novel? Go read it first if you're curious, I guess. Although I'm pretty sure if you're even a little curious about the movie or the novel, you'd be away from this video by now. So, in the novel, Nimona was captured by the Institute and her blood sample reacted negatively, transforming into a beast, destroying the lab, and killing the director. Think of the split as that scene in Steven Universe when Steven unfuses from his pink diamond, except the pink diamond Steven managed to kill White Diamond.
Be gone!
Anyways, Bao manages to defeat the monster and save Ambrosius, but ruins Nimona's trust in the process. The lab's automatic purge system goes off before he could return for Nimona, but the kingdom is saved. With the Institute exposed for using dark magic, Ballister Blackheart becomes a hero and is welcomed back into the kingdom. Later at the hospital, we see Ballister defending Nimona when a doctor called her a monster. But it was later revealed that it was actually Nimona in disguise. She survived and left him amicably. We then cut to an epilogue where Ballister reconciles with Ambrosius. And despite never seeing Nimona again, he hopes that she is still around and they will one day meet again as friends. It's a very different ending from the original, mainly due to one key emotion.
This is anger.
Nimona in this ending feels very angry. Angry because Ballister couldn't just accept everything about her. Angry at the institution for treating her as the ultimate other. Angry at the world's structural violence. Just angry at everything. Even Ballister, despite getting everything he wanted, is upset because he couldn't save her. When it was revealed that Nimona was alive and well, the two didn't reunite, but parted ways quietly, a smile and a wave amongst the crowd. And this ending stuck with me from my very first read. It reminds me of that line from BoJack Horseman's finale.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? Life's a bitch and then you die, right?
Sometimes. Sometimes life's a bitch and then you keep living.
Despite the hopeful tone, you can still feel Nimona's anger in the epilogue. She still never found the love and acceptance she needs. And even though she ended on good terms with Bao, his need of saving her shows that he still couldn't understand Nimona. Because maybe Nimona didn't need saving. Maybe all she needed was true acceptance from the people who cared. Anyways, now back to the movie. As the monster slowly makes its way through the city, the institution puts all their efforts into attacking the monster instead of saving the civilians. After Todd's act of bravery, the director heads towards the wall to fire a cannon into the city, and Ambrosius realizes how wrong he was about the institution.
But firing them will take out half the city. Innocent people will die.
And so will the monster.
But
what are we doing?
Do I want to talk about Todd? No. But should I talk about Todd? Yeah? Todd is so annoying. And by that I mean fucking stupid. While the original Ambrosius Golden Loin was intentionally written in Stevenson's comic as the embodiment of white privilege, the new Ambrosius is adapted as East Asian thanks to the casting of Eugene Lee Yang. in comes Todd.
Oh, this one. This guy looks extremely punchable.
You're right, he is actually extremely punchable. No, wait, Todd swapped my sword, didn't he?
What? No.
Why are you protecting him?
Who would protect Todd?
Which, yeah, you guessed it, is an original character for the movie, made from Ambrosius's flaws in the novel. He's basically a frat bro, and that's about it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want more of him, but adding nothing else to his character other than pure flaws makes his presence almost intolerable. It's not even like I want him to have redeeming qualities. I love a good villain who's just there to be a rich pompous dick, but he needs screen presence. He needs to be hateable with some entertainment value. Where's my close enough welcome back Prince Charming character? Is he in the room with us? Meanwhile, Bao struggles through the kingdom's wreckage. Yeah, dude got pummeled by Todd and his knights earlier, and reflects on his mistake. Everything comes to a head when Nimona finally decides to, as the clock app peeps would say, unalive herself via Glora's sword. But Bao reaches her in time and apologizes, bringing her back.
I'm sorry. I see you, Nimona. And you're not alone.
Hey!
Sometimes relationships just end, and that's okay, even if it doesn't feel like it is. But I think this version of Nimona wants to tell us that sometimes relationships can end, but other times, if they're the right people, they'll stick around. It takes time and even heartbreak, but you'll find yourself and your people one day. You won't always be alone. In his interview with Netflix, Stevenson said, "Nimona's a movie that came out of my own pain, and it was really cathartic to find an outlet through the story about how friendship can help you fight the darkest battles. I hope that the movie can be that for more people." Nimona's a story that came with a lot of raw, unfiltered emotions. And it was obvious that the novel came out during a time where the creator was going through a lot. So watching the characters I've loved for years get all the happiness they deserve on the big screen is truly a heartwarming and beautiful experience. Back to the movie. While the kingdom is starting to change their mind,
That monster is a threat to our very way of life!
And what if we're wrong?
the director decides to double down and readies the cannon. So Nimona decides to do what she does best.
Hey, boss. Be right back. I'm gonna go break some stuff.
Wait, Nimona, what are you—
It's time to rewrite this story.
Nimona! Nimona!
I do love the imagery of Nimona's phoenix form being the one to save everyone here. Not only is it the ultimate form of her flame motif, it also thematically matches the previous smoke creature perfectly. The phoenix destroys the cannon and saves the kingdom, sacrificing herself in the process.
Come back. Please come back.
Yeah, okay, movie. Make me bawl my eyes out again, why don't ya? Whatever. I don't need to stay hydrated. With the wall destroyed and the institution reformed, the kingdom celebrates Ballister Boldheart and Nimona as their new heroes. Yes, even Todd. Wait, he's not dead? And so, the movie ends with Bao returning to his hideout in hopes that his daughter will one day return. The end.
Hey, boss.
Holy!
And that's Nimona. Talk about a modern classic. Nimona isn't perfect, but it's a really good time. The art style is eye candy, the animation has great flow, the dialogue is very snappy, and the characters are quite charming and likable. The soundtrack really grounds the film's more emotional points, and the world building does a good job playing into traditional fairy tale tropes and aesthetics by incorporating them into a dystopian future, breathing new life into the original source material. I think the best thing about the movie is its message about prejudice, change, and acceptance. Google defines prejudice as a preconceived opinion that is not based on reason or actual experience. And the movie shows us that prejudice is systematically hardwired into us. It's something we're taught since youth and fueled by a natural fear of the unknown. But like most things, it's not permanent. The first step to change is to unlearn your prejudices, to look past our expectations of people, and only then can we truly accept them, flaws and all. Nimona is a story that comes from a very personal experience, but its messages are universal. Disney allegedly canceled the film due to leadership taking issue with some queer elements of Nimona, particularly with the same-sex kiss. Which makes the movie's success even more endearing. From an Academy Awards Best Animated Feature nomination, to gaining more than 3 million views on YouTube in a week, what else can I say other than...
Can a shark dance?
Can a shark dance? Watch me.
I hope that everyone can find a part of themselves in Nimona, because representation matters, and you are seen. Nimona is a 9 out of 10.